Hey everyone, welcome back to another edition of our Monday devotional using the 7 arrows method. Again, like I said last week, this is just for your benefit to hopefully teach you how to read the Bible and to be able to do that better on your own so you don't have to rely on a devotional or someone else teaching you. So with that said, we're going to be in Genesis chapter 1, verses 26 through 28 today. So now what I want you to do is take some time to study this passage on your own and to look at it and work through the 7 arrows for yourself, and then come back to this video and we'll work through it and you can compare your answers to mine and kind of see where you maybe differed or stay the same, and hopefully you can learn just a little bit from this. So we'll continue on. The first question, the first arrow is, what does this passage say? And remember, you're not trying to interpret everything in the passage. You just want to know what the basic meaning of the passage is, what it's just saying. And I think we can see here from Genesis 1, 26 through 28, is that God completed his work of creation by creating man and woman in his image. That is just a simple summarization of these few verses. So interested to hear what you guys saw. Feel free to drop that in the comments below if you want to share that with your friends. So the next arrow, what does this passage mean to the original audience? This is one definitely where you want to grab a study Bible or something like that so you can understand the original context of the passage. But I think we look at this and we can think, whether you're thinking of Adam and Eve who were in this story being created, Adam being created in this part, or if we're thinking about the Israelites who would have read this as they received the book of Genesis along with the other books in the Torah, I think they would have seen this and they would have said, you know what, I'm valuable. God has created me, and he created me for a reason, to reflect him. I'm made in his image. So I think they would have had a God-given sense of purpose for their life. They would have seen themselves as valuable, and they would have seen themselves as though they were put on this earth for a reason, to reflect God and his just beautiful character and all of who he is. So I think they would have known their value and known that they had a sense of purpose. And then our next arrow is, what does this passage tell us about God? I think this tells us that God wants to be known and worshipped. The cool thing that I think sometimes we forget about is that God didn't need to create us. Sometimes we might have a picture of God like he was in heaven and he was all lonely and he needed some friends or something to do, so he created the earth and he created us. But the reality is that God didn't need anyone or anything. He was self-sufficient. He was fine on his own, but he had a desire to be known and to be worshipped, so he created us so that we could bring him glory and so that we could know him personally. So we serve a God who's not this far off deity that we don't really know too much about, but he's a God who is personal and wants to be known by us and wants to know us. Next, we're looking at the question, what does this tell us about man? And I think simply this tells us that we are created in God's image to reflect God. When we look at people, when we look at another human being, we can see the image of God in them. We can see his characteristics and who he is. Although men and women might reflect God differently in different ways, we all know that every single person, no matter their race or their gender, reflects God and who he is in some way or another, which is just adds so much value to humans. If you had the choice to save a person or an animal, you would always hopefully pick the person, because they are created in the image of God. They are distinctly more valuable than any animal or any other thing on this earth, because they are made in the image of God. So the next arrow, what does this passage demand of me? And I think for us personally, and maybe you saw something differently, or maybe you reflected on something here differently, but we want to apply the Bible to us now. So I think for us personally, we should look at this and never have to wonder if we're valuable, never have to wonder if we have a purpose or if we are worth anything, because we know that we are made in the image of God, and you are made in the image of God. So you will always have value, you will always have purpose, because God himself made you to reflect him. So you are valuable. We are valuable because we are made in the image of God. And then the next question is, how does this passage change the way I relate to other people? I think this is so important for our country right now, our world right now. If everyone is created in the image of God, that means everyone that I interact with is valuable. Whether they're a Christian or not, whether they like me or not, they are made by God and they are valuable, okay? So that means I'm going to treat them like they're valuable. That means I'm going to treat them like God made them special, because he did. So I think it adds value to every single person that I see. So whether they disagree with me on certain things, they don't treat me correctly, or I just don't like them because of certain different things, I should treat them like they're important to God, because they are, and I should treat them like they are a special creation. So the image of God, the Imago Dei, leads us to love and treat other people with respect and dignity, because God created them. And then lastly, how does this passage prompt us to pray? This can bring up a lot of different answers. You guys might answer this differently, but one way this passage could make you pray is just that you would just thank God that he created you, and that he created others, and he created us so specially, and with the ability to know him and to reflect him. That is such a privilege that we should never stop being thankful for. So guys, I hope this was beneficial to you. I hope you took the time to work through the 7 Arrows method for yourself. And I hope that you will share this with your friends, and you guys will do it together, and it'll be a beneficial time for you. So I will see you guys next week.